Hey friends, we're going to talk a little bit about Chapter 1. Now, I'm not going to go into super deep detail on any of this stuff. You can review the chapter, see some of the history about Java. A lot of it is just nice to know. It's not super important stuff here. So Java's got a pretty long history. It's a very popular object-oriented language that's still widely used. It's not like the newest and the hottest and the most interesting language, but it still has lots of support out there in the industry and is widely used. So it's still important to study, and it makes for a pretty good first language. It's relatively friendly, much easier to use than like a C++, and has a lot of great libraries that do things for us. So let me fire up IntelliJ here, and I'm going to start a new project again. So File, New Project, and again, I want to make sure I put it inside my Git repository. So I'm already there, right? I don't need to go find it again here, which is great, and we'll call this one Chapter 1. I want a Java project. I want to use the OpenJDK 18. So the numbering here with JDKs got weird when Oracle took over Java. Don't worry too much about it here. The latest and greatest, and we're in pretty good shape. There's differences between them, but nothing that really is going to matter for us. So we'll be fine here. And we'll go ahead. I'm going to do it in a new window here. So, or I'm sorry, this window will replace the other one. I don't need the other one open here. And then what we're going to look at is a little bit more about what Java does behind the scenes. So I'm going to go to source, and again, I'm going to add a package. So packages are important to have. If you don't have one, there's this thing called a default package. It's generally bad form to use the default package. So it's better to put stuff in a folder or a package. That's just a common convention here, and it avoids bad form here. So we'll call this Chapter 1. And then in that package now, I can put a new Java class. Where Java classes here are Java files that we write the code to here. So we'll call this one Chapter 1. And we write, add, cancel, it doesn't really matter here. I don't know why it keeps asking all the time. We write the code so that people can understand it first and Java can understand it second. So if you write code that Java can understand but other people can't, you haven't really done a good job, right? It's still getting the job done, I suppose, but good software is written so that other people can read it and understand it. So what happens out in the industry is when you get your job and you're going to start working on some sort of project here, because you're amazing and awesome, you won't be working on that project for long. You'll move on to bigger and better things, and then someone else will come in and have to be working on that project and maintaining it. So what happens with software is it's really expensive, right? Developers are generally well-paid people, and writing software is kind of a big undertaking. It takes a lot of time, and companies want to get some return on their investment. So when you look at this idea of the software development lifecycle, take our software engineering class if you want to hear more about that with Mr. Nasser. You plan software, you design it, you build it, you test it, and then you actually go and use it in production. You deploy it, and then it lives out there for people to use and your customers to use for hopefully a long time, because it was going to be a good investment to write the software. So that ends up in this maintenance phase of software where if changes need to happen, so you want to update it for, we've got some new business rules that happened, or we need to update for some new tax policy, or whatever it happens to be, someone has to go and change it. Now, if you've moved on to bigger and better things, that means someone else has to come into your code and read it and understand what it is doing and then change it. So we want to write code first for people to understand it. That is the most important thing, especially when it comes to class here, because I need to read your code to grade it. And if I can't read it and understand it, it's not going to go well for you. Let's just be honest, okay? So code should be readable for people first, then it has to be readable to Java for Java to be able to do anything. And that's when we talk about syntax. So syntax is the rules of how Java code is structured so that Java can understand it. So we write these .java files, and then what we do is we actually compile them. So there's a program in the Java development kit that we downloaded, that JDK, that is called Java-C, or the Java compiler. It will go and read Java files and then generate something called a class file here. So we put public static void main, and we'll just print out again, how about Chapter 1 is fun. And now I've got two options. Before I even run, I have this other hammer up here. Hammer is build. So build will go through and actually compile our code. So it sends all of our code to the Java compiler, and it will generate something for us here. Notice we have this out folder we've just kind of been ignoring that shows up here. So inside of that, there's a chapter1.class file. Now, class files, oh goodness, no, we don't want the decompiler. Decline. Yeah, don't use that. We don't want to decompile anything. Don't want that. I said no. Okay, that's fine. It's not actually machine or human readable here. I just want to open it. I just want to see it. Friends. Okay, open with, let's open with Explorer. And then I'm going to right click the class file and I want to say open with Visual Studio Code. So this is a text editor. There's all sorts of text. You could open it with Notepad, with probably what you'd already have installed. You might not have code installed. I'm going to open it anyway. This is, oh goodness, sure, text editor. This is garbage here. This is not human readable code. This is made for the Java runtime environment to read and execute. So some of it actually looks readable here. Right? Not the worst thing in the world. So if I open it probably in Notepad, that's probably better here. Sorry, let me open that in Notepad. Open with, choose, go to more apps and find Notepad. Don't always use that. Okay. Here's the garbage we were expecting here. We get these really funny symbols here. Some of it looks like English, some not. So this is Java bytecode that's been compiled. What happens now is the Java runtime environment, or the JRE, will actually read this class code and execute it on whatever system you happen to be on, whether or not it's Windows or Mac or Linux or your mobile phone or a website or whatever it happens to be. Java is very portable, and Java used to brag about how many billions of devices supported Java. I don't know if they actually do that anymore. I'm not sure if that's as common, but Java code is independent from the operating system, which is actually different from some other languages that are very operating system specific once they've been compiled. So we can take our Java code and lift and shift it to different places, and it will still do the thing we've asked it to do, which is really cool. And that was actually pretty novel back when Java first came out. So that's one of the advantages to Java here for us. It'll run on operating systems. Well, Android's a little funny here. There was a whole lawsuit about APIs and complex stuff that you had to go explain to the Supreme Court. There's a bunch of really old people who knew nothing about technology, what programming is all about, and APIs, and yada, yada, yada. But essentially, it worked out that we can use the API, or all of our code looks like a certain way here, and that's perfectly fine. Just, sure, that's fine. So other object-oriented language. Java is an object-oriented language. You might know of C++ or C#. They're similar-ish, again, but we use Java. So you can run console-based applications that just spit text out. You can write a graphical user interface application. You can write a web application. I actually teach the Web Systems Development course and the Web Integrations class. Oh my goodness, I should remember what that one is, that we use Java for in both of those classes. And then Dr. Baugh teaches typically the Android class, which uses a variety of Java, which is now called Kotlin, which kind of, is sort of Java. It's really weird. It's a whole big story here with the lawsuit. But we want to write code that does something. So we write the code that is human readable and Java can read. So if we don't have the things that are required here, like a semicolon, you need a semicolon at the end of every command in Java. Not every line, right? Some lines don't have them here, but it's going to say, hey, a little red line here, a semicolon expected. So sometimes it's really helpful here. If you don't end your quote here, though, like we looked at this error, this just says illegal line end in string literal. We didn't end our string. A string is just a bunch of text, a bunch of characters all put together here. We get that error. If you're missing a parenthesis, now this one is red here, and it says not a statement. That one's not as helpful. Right? So it's saying, oh, it's upset because we didn't follow the syntax, the rules that are required for us to write Java code if things are missing. If I miss one of these square braces up here, this whole thing gets confused. And it says identifier expected. And not the most helpful error message. So it's not always the most helpful, but the more you look at it, like it'll show you where something went wrong, usually. Like if you miss a curly brace here, this one says, okay, a curly brace or semicolon expected. So that one's pretty helpful here. One or the other was expected. If we miss one down here, we get other sorts of errors. This one is a curly brace expected. Now the problem is it's telling me it's missing it after here, not at this line. So the funny thing about Java is it doesn't care about white space. The tabs and the spaces and the indentations is all for people, to make it readable for people. If I want to put this all in one big, ugly, long line here like this, and then add that other curly brace here, this is perfectly legitimate, legal Java code, and it will run. And I can run my program here, and it will still say hello world. Now, this is horrendous. Please don't ever do this. I will just be really upset if you try and give me everything on one line, because it's really hard to grade and read. But Java doesn't care, right? The code is for people. As long as you follow the rules of the syntax, which says you have the right curly braces Every time you open a curly brace, you end the curly brace. I'm going to give it a format. So what's my shortcut for format? Oh my goodness, code. No, edit. Come on. My goodness, I knew the shortcut. Code cleanup? I don't think it's cleanup. No. Reformat. Control-Alt-L. There we go. Control-Alt-L here will reformat it for me according to the Java style guideline. So if this ever doesn't look right, or like if you don't have these tabs in here right, no, why are you not doing that? Like if you put, no, okay, it's really not, okay, like this. So if you have stuff like out of order here, it's visually really ugly, Control-Alt-L will fix it for you. Now, some people say a curly brace should start at the end of the line. Some people like curly braces to be underneath. I used to be in this school of thought here, but now I'm getting more into the school of thought that they should go at the start of the line. And notice with IntelliJ, when I click near a curly brace, it highlights the matching one. So if I click near the closing curly brace, it highlights the opening. If I click at the opening, it highlights the closing one. So it's pretty helpful. Same with parentheses. If you click on a parenthesis, it'll highlight the closing parenthesis. So it's trying to give you those visual cues for, okay, things need to match. So one of the rules of our syntax is everything has to match. Now we can put as many print line commands here as we want here. So welcome to Java, and I can say my name is Eric, and on and on and on and on. Every time I run it here now, I'm going to get 3 lines of output now, as I get 3 different lines. Give it a second. We get chapter 1 is fun, welcome to Java, my name is Eric, here we go. So I actually want to show you then, if I were to do that lab exercise myself, let me go find that one here. I need to go answer some questions. I don't have a partner, right? I haven't posted in the discussion board to find a partner. Don't worry about that. You can partner up with someone else here. But I would ask you to ask them 5 questions and write a program that introduces them. So we would say, like, my partner's name is Eric. And we could say Eric is taking the course because he's the prof. He sort of has to. So name and major reason for taking the class. That was question 1. Question 2, any previous programming experience? I've been programming professionally for, oh goodness, how many years is that now? Wow, I really should remember this sort of thing. 15 years or so, about. So I did like some smaller programming, not full-time necessarily. My job was a programmer job, but in my job I would do programming things to automate tasks for 15 years. I've been a full-time developer, nothing but programming for the last 10. And my earliest memory of programming was at age 5 when my older brother, who's 7 years older than I was, showed me how to write a batch script to launch our favorite game at the time, Commander Keen, on our Microsoft DOS computer years and years ago when I was 5. That would have been 92. Wow, it was a while ago. But my parents are both nerds, both engineers, so I had that benefit. They thought computers were fun. So we got in it. I got into it from an early age, so did my brother. He got into computer science. I was like, yeah, that sounds like fun. I would like to do computers and get paid for it. So works out pretty well. All right, hobbies. I like to play Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons as a hobby. I've got my kids playing with me now. I play with some friends. We got a couple campaigns up and running. It's a lot of fun. Really kind of leaned into it hard in the pandemic because it was something fun to do. We could do it over Zoom and stuff. Any plans for the summer? So we're planning to adopt baby, I can't spell, baby number 7, sometime in July, mid to late July here. Hopefully baby number 7 will join the family. Should be a lot of fun. It will keep us rather busy, so we'll see how that goes. And then anything else you'd like me to know about them? Anything else they'd like the class to know about them? Another fun fact. I don't know, what's another fun fact about me? I am training for my 9th marathon this October, the Freep International. It's actually a super fun run here. Freep International. We go over the Ambassador Bridge into Canada, through the waterfront there, back under the tunnel, then through Detroit, around Belle Isle. 26.2 miles later, when your legs are dead, you hit the finish line. So honestly, my only goal is to finish before the timeout. You get 6.5 hours to do it. And as long as I finish, I am so thrilled. I would love to be faster, but I don't really put the time and energy and effort into running fast. Maybe someday, but been a little busy here. So I've been running it every year since 2014, and then I ran another marathon with a buddy. He wanted to do a trail marathon, and I said that sounds like a lot of fun. That one was hard. Trails are different running for sure. That was not what I usually do. But let me give it a run. Again, if you get red lines, it's unhappy with your syntax somewhere. So take a look around that area. If it spits out an output, you're good to go. You'll copy all of this, Control-C copy or right-click copy, paste it into the discussion after you talk with your partner by Monday, 11:59 p.m. So make sure you get your first posts in, say, hi, my name's whatever, by Friday so that you have time to find a partner over the weekend, ask them some questions, and then they can write this code introducing you to the rest of the class. Okay, so don't worry about Git for the first part. You don't need to do anything. We'll get into that later. That's pun unintended. But for me, I'm going to take my example code here, and I'm going to commit it for you. So this is all this chapter 1 stuff. So I'll say chapter 1 examples. Here's my lab, introduction. Here, we'll commit and push. And then one more time, I'm going to take this repository, and I'm actually going to add a link to it in D2L as well for you here. So let me come into D2L. Oh, I'm on my other monitor here. I'll bring this down. So in the course information, I'll add a little link here as well. So create a link for course repository. There we go. So you can always find the Git repository there as well. That'll take you out to this website. And if you want to view it here, you just come in here. You can click on chapter 1, go to the source chapter 1 folder, look at chapter1.java, and you can see my code here. All right. Couple other things. The name of the Java class, so public class something, has to match letter for letter, case for case, the name of the Java file. So chapter1.java, capital C, chapter has to be chapter 1 here as public class. We're not going to touch that much. This will matter much more later, and you know it's just a convention. It's not even a convention. That one is a hard and fast rule, so it has to match. But it writes this part for you when you say, "Hey, here's a new file. I want to do a new Java class." It types it for you. You don't have to type anything yourself here. And this package thing just means, hey, this is the folder that's inside of. It's a good habit to have packages. It's not going to hurt anything for a while, but it's a good practice to get into. All right, so that's it for chapter 1. Go take a look at the text yourself. I do also have all of the textbook PowerPoint slides, if anyone likes PowerPoint, out here. I've never been a fan of PowerPoint because most of the time when it gets used, people use it to read to me. And that just puts me to sleep, right? If you put a block of text up on the screen and you start reading it, I'm going to be reading it before you even said it out loud because I'm a faster reader than you are a talker. And then you're not, I don't know, I don't really like PowerPoint. I like writing code and talking about code as I write code. That's what I'm going to do. So that's my particular style. So if you have questions, thoughts, or concerns, let me know. That'll wrap up week 1 here. Don't forget, we actually have 2 quizzes to do. We have the syllabus quiz, where you go and answer a couple questions about the syllabus and then acknowledge the academic integrity policy, and then the chapter 1 quiz. Open book, open notes. You shouldn't need the internet, right? It's literally from the book's test bank here. So this is your incentive to go and read the book. Open the book. You don't need to memorize anything. Just know where to go find the answers here once you've read it. So you're going to see me do some examples. You're going to read the book's examples. You're going to take the quiz on it. You're going to do your lab for practice, and then you're going to have projects. So you're going to write a lot of code, which is good. The more code you write, the better you're going to get at it. So also fill out the survey here to let me know when is a good time to have office hours. That's here in week 1 in the overview section here. There's a little link. It's a when to meet site. So you just drag and drop or drag over the times that are good for you. And I'm going to try and find the most times that work for the most people for office hours where I can meet with you folks. And again, if those posted hours don't work, I can also meet by appointment. So shoot me a message with a couple times that work for you, and I'll see if I can make one of them work. I can't promise it, but I'll do my best, okay? All right, if you got anything else, let me know. If not, I will see you next week. Take care, everybody.